we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
All right, we got Scott in the studio.
It is good to be back.
Yes, it is.
Man, it's been a while.
There we go.
Been too long.
I think, can you guys hear him pretty well? Do a mic check for me.
Check, mic check. I think it's all right. Lots have changed in the studio since I've been gone.
Yes, he's taking note to all the great things sent from you Patriots, and we appreciate it. Yep, some people welcome back, grilling. We got probably some new mods.
I was watching last night. I did notice a couple of new mods that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, it's definitely been a few since you been here last. Just due to, because some of the mods have taken off with channels and doing great things. So,
really?
And we support that 100%. So you can be a mod when you can be. If you're not here, we don't complain. If we see a lack of mods on any given show, we just kind of, we're going to have to create a few. And there's plenty of people here I've seen since the beginning, or repeated Patriots. So,
Joanne, hello. Gail, hello. Amy the mod, I do remember Amy.
Yes. What you just put there? Hey y'all, dude Scott.
Dudes.
So John Solomon to release 400 pages implicating Russia, he said.
More Russia.
Hey up, Amy just put what's up Scott. Hey Amy the mod.
Slowing down, Amy, and that's why I'm able to get over here today. Summertime's coming to an end, so the air conditioning business is slowing up, which is fine with me. We'll be going into furnace season here in the next couple of months, but hopefully we got a couple of weeks where it's that in-between stage. You'll see a lot more of me this winter. Winters are usually a little slower, so I can get over here more. I was not expecting to be gone this long.
What do we got going on? What do you guys think of the testimony going on? Just a bunch more of the same. Their delusion is a cover-up of their corruption. That's right.
There is nothing there. Nothing.
Seklo. Yep. This is all leading back to Biden and probably John Kerry as well. They both have sons after they were in charge, like Obama had Kerry in charge of something over here, and Biden in charge of like China and Ukraine to deal with whatever, and they were siphoning money out. And shortly after, both of their sons got very, very lucrative deals.
The Biden's boy, he was not even in commodities. He just started his little firm or practice, and 10 days after they get back from China, boom, $1 billion contract. Why wouldn't they give it to Saks or any of the big investment companies? Oh no, we're going to give it to Biden's boy, which is ironic to say the least.
Well, what do you think of somebody that normally gets kicked out of the service with a bad discharge, and then normally it's really hard to get a security to be in the energies, commodities, security clearances.
Landed right on his feet, didn't it? Just
fell into a shit pile and came out smelling like roses. How awesome!
Yeah.
And then the whole thing that would tie this together would be that Biden was talking to his son about the whole thing. And that's the one thing you have to go to the crook, where it looks really bad all around there. And you're like, I never talked to my son about it.
Right.
That's what we have to just sit and believe that shit.
Exactly. It's kind of ironic that you and I were just talking about it in the garage where Trump's getting bashed for this conversation on the phone that he had. And so far in those 5 pages that I've been hearing about, I haven't seen it myself, but I'm going off of what everybody's saying in there as far as the makeup of those 5 pages. So Biden threatens the Ukrainian dignitary or to get the guy fired, right? And he says if you don't fire him, you're not getting $1 billion, and my plane leaves in a few hours, and I hope there's a decision made, blah, blah, blah. That's a threat. And not only is it a threat, they actually did end up firing a guy, and then the $1 billion was released to him, and yada, yada. But now Trump, supposedly, they're blaming Trump. They're going after Trump for something that Biden actually did. And we're not talking about it.
He's not president right now, or he's not pertinent, or all these things. They're also spinning it on like Trump isn't allowed to look at him because he's his political running
adversary.
So is that like get you out of the crimes then? Because Trump has every right. He's actually the head of the department, like the head of justice. He's allowed to have a mind, think, and if you see something crooked, look at it. Now, unfortunately, now the left did spin it every time they brought up, like Trump said, I need you to do me a favor. They kept saying me a favor when he never said that. He said the country a favor. And then they went right into this, Joe Biden, look at him. His son, he didn't. If you look at the transcript, 5 pages, I would encourage everyone to read it. We can bring horses to water. You can't force the horse to drink it.
Right. And
we always fight for this D class, and then when it finally comes, people won't even read it, like Pelosi. They refuse to read it because...
That's what you said in the garage, too. Like, you got to release this. We want to know what was said. And then as soon as he releases it, well, that's the President of the United States. He shouldn't be releasing confidential.
Yeah, now it's, he's...
Now all the other world leaders are going to be nervous to talk to Trump. It's like, wait a minute, you asked for it, and now you want to put it back in the box because you said it perfectly. He's not, and we've been saying this for a long time, he's not going to make them all happy. They're going to go after him. This impeachment, they can't beat him in 2020. We know he can't be beat. They were shocked that he got beat in 2016, and now instead of just putting somebody up there and have a platform to run against and beat him politically, they know they can't do it, so now they're just going to keep beating this dead horse.
There's people on record saying that. We can't beat him, so we got to impeach him.
Right.
Like, if we don't impeach him, he'll win.
That might as well be their motto going into 2020. That's exactly the slogan they all should be running on. And now that Biden's screwing up, he isn't going to be president.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be anyway. But now Warren's sitting there going, all right.
So you said it very well. We have the hot mic of the time that Obama leaned into that guy from Russia and said, tell Putin after I win, I'll have much more flexibility.
Right.
So nobody cared. Fox News played it a few times. None of the main, whatever. You have Biden doing this hot mic thing. And like Trump said, whether he was just an idiot or thought that, he was amongst a bunch of good friends and forgot that there was cameras or something. I'm imagining he was there, did a little talk piece, and then most of the big cameras rolled off, and he thought, you just get this illusion that they're gone. There's still somebody out in the audience with a phone, and he just told this story like it was, because this is like while Trump was president, he's telling this story. This is like sometime late in 2016. So Biden must have still been vice president. I don't know. But man, oh man, does he say it all, right? I told him this, that I'm leaving. And sure crap, they fired this guy before we got on the plane, didn't they, Joe? I mean, he told it all.
Just like Biden's interview. We told him we were going to fire the son of a bitch,
so
or you ain't going to get to...
What do they call it? Quid pro quo?
Yeah, there was the quid, there's a pro.
There's a quid, there's a pro, right there. But for Trump, they're like, this whistleblower that doesn't qualify, by the way, the standards, because they're trying to hit that guy up on that. Like, why didn't you report this within a certain amount of time frame? You can be held... And the guy from the DNI said, no, this was a presidential phone call from our president to another president. There's executive privilege on that, so whistleblowers' rights don't apply. Plus, this guy didn't even hear it firsthand, so therefore he doesn't apply as a whistleblower at all. And there's actual statutes and facts on that.
Kilmeade show this morning, I think I heard that the whistleblower is adamant
against Trump, a political opponent, voted for Hillary or something. They don't like Trump,
which I found interesting. But wow, I'm shocked that whoever is the whistleblower actually it wasn't going to be somebody that liked Trump.
Oh yeah, never is.
They again, a mountain out of a molehill. There's no context. There's
they want to open up investigations to look at this further and examine the written text. Now they're screaming, this isn't the transcript.
Right.
Because there's like a summary of the transcript. So did the people that released this leave anything out? You hope they wouldn't have. So
that was 5 pages, and then there was another one that was 9 pages long, and there were news articles from newspapers and magazines and from around the world. But in that transcript. I'm like, well, those are opinions. That's made up. You can't make your news. You can't create this just to make a story. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And like Kilmeade said, he said, there's no substance to this. There's no crime. But as long as they said something, the average Joe's going to be like, oh,
well, I think their ploy was to have this whistleblower, because we know now that was a lie, that the whistleblower said that Trump was going to withhold money.
Right.
So you don't see that anywhere in that transcript or summary of the transcript of the phone call. You don't see that anywhere. So that's a lie. We know that now just by what the whistleblower said, and now that has come out. But where that does work at was with Biden, or you see this thing with Obama leaning in and telling somebody like, once I get this, then that's really not offering, but Biden did. It was like, we're going to withhold unless you do this. We also yesterday at 5 p.m. got a release from 3 Democratic senators or congressmen last year in May that put in paperwork to the Ukraine government, threatening them to work with the Mueller investigation at the time.
Correct.
Or they were going to withhold monies.
Correct.
So there's another example.
Hanging the cheese.
There's another example of this quid pro. There's your quid, there's your pro. You got it all, but it's all being ignored, and they want to look to see if Trump has it. You don't see it.
Right.
But maybe if we just talk about it enough, it might appear. I mean, it's always this, we're tripping over true crime here, but we're going to go look.
Gossip. If you talk about it enough, it becomes real.
Yeah.
To some extent. And then, the American population tunes in to CNN and then oh my God, they said he's impeachable again. Let's impeach him.
So we've gone through he slept with a porn star, that was impeachable.
Right.
His taxes, that's impeachable.
Right.
His business dealings we've gone through Russia. We've gone through every time they've told us this is it. They've even used the impeachment on other people, Kavanaugh, all the.
It's a smear campaign, and I don't know. The sad thing is the young generation are they just soak up all this negative crap because they're just idiots.
That's a bigger point right there.
Right? So they're I think Warren and Biden and that bozo from Starbucks, I cannot stand him. And I'm spinning this a little bit towards the gun thing, but when you say we're going to take your guns, automatically you're going to lose that election. And then I had to sit back and think to myself, I bet there are about 40 to 50 million weak-minded individuals that, yes, let's get rid of the guns.
That's my biggest thing.
That will vote for them. I'm like, maybe.
How do they convince people every time one of these Walmart shooting happens? Like the guy that went there and did that already broke all kinds of laws. Like possibly he shouldn't have had a gun. He did. He shouldn't go to Walmart and shoot it. That's against the law. We know that, but he did that. How do they convince, like every time one of these random shooting happens at Walmart, that people at home, they're trying to make us all believe this. I don't know anyone in my personal life in real time that thinks like, oh my God, another shooting happened. I need to go turn my gun in to help stop this.
Yeah, because your gun wasn't even involved into it. You're 10 states
that's
away.
like I said, that's equivalent to go chop your penis off to help stop the ongoing rape issue.
Right.
Or, I'm not raping anybody. How dare you?
Well, yeah, but the guy down the road did. So
I know.
Turn in your dick.
Yeah. Think about it. No. I've said it. You have to get raw with it like that sometimes because, geesh, do you understand? That same guy that's, you just need to get rid of your gun to help the ongoing shooting that just happened down there.
Right.
No, you need to be armed to stop that fool.
Correct.
That's the other way. I mean, that really, really scares me, and it bothers me that a crime happens, and then you think that you giving up your thing is going to stop that.
Actually, the crime rate will probably go up.
Exactly.
Do the stats. Texas, some of these open carry states, I'm pretty sure Texas, Nevada's one. There's a couple others.
What do we want stats on? Gun owner or crimes?
How would you say states with least amount of gun violence? Per capita, probably Texas is not at the top of the list that I'm trying to describe, but I bet... Because there's so many people that live in that state. I mean, a state like Wyoming's probably way up on the list of safe.
States with least gun violence, states with least gun control, states with least gun control laws. We can get into all that.
You can go into... Let's do the violence.
Right, let me see here.
10 states with the lowest amount of gun violence.
Top screen up there.
So, if you click on that one, it's going to give us 10 states. The top 10, I would imagine. And I bet there are going to be some rural states, the ones out in the Midwest. Oh, my God, that's a scary image. Oof. Overall firearm deaths.
It's all 50 states. Here's the 10 with the lowest level overall firearm deaths. This is all to 2010, 2011.
That's okay. It's still going to be. So Nebraska's number 10.
Let me get that a little smaller. There we go.
I hope Nevada and there's Maine.
Number 9.
Low population.
We can do this. Average state ranking 33.3 overall firearms 1 to 10. This is for all of them at a rate of 100,000.
So 7.83. Wow.
Suicides, homicide, and suicide.
Number 9 is Maine, Minnesota, eh? Rhode Island, 7.
Really small state. So 2 shootings equates to
Yeah, that's big news.
half the state.
Iowa, New York.
Number 5. Now we're gonna get what? We're gonna be New York, L.A., Chicago here. Jersey. Should have known better. So they used to have the most stolen cars.
It's a dirty place. Sorry if you're from New Jersey. Connecticut. Huh. Massachusetts. Overall fire.
Number 1.
Hawaii. Now, so this is the least amount of gun violence, and I guess
Lowest amount of gun violence.
we would have to look into what they're calling gun violence. I can guarantee you Illinois is going to be number 1 on the opposite side of that spectrum. And the odd thing is, and I worked in Chicago for years, still frequent Chicago. They have some of the strictest gun laws in the world, actually. But they lead Chicago. There's 4 or 5 murders a weekend, and I'm not exaggerating by any means. But nobody really cares about those gun violence.
Click here to see states with the worst gun violence.
Yeah, go ahead and click on that one. Not going to be shocked when Windy City pops up.
This is February of 18, so not too long.
Okay, so this is 50 Massachusetts. So they must have went all 50 states. Massachusetts is 50.
So let me go down.
So Massachusetts sounds like the safest place as far as gun violence, which is really odd because Boston's a pretty big city. You would think that, Hawaii must have dropped on that list.
Let me go down here.
Excuse me.
Democrats have criticized the restrictions. That's an article there to read. Must be on page 11, number 5. So here's the top 5. Oklahoma.
Wow.
4 is Mississippi.
Not surprising.
3 is Louisiana. 2 is Alabama.
Oh, wait a minute.
Alaska. What the heck?
Yeah, there's something askewed with what we just typed. Alaska's not number 1 in gun violence. I can promise you that.
I don't know.
States with the most gun violence. Huh. Again,
Firearm deaths per 100,000 people, 23.
Geez.
Got a quick chan. So
We'll have to look at the variables because there's no way. There's, where's Illinois? Where's Chicago? Chicago's got to be the capital anyway. So it's just, again, I know it's my first time back, so we're going to just be ADD and jumping all over the place. But
that's fine.
I was real shocked when he and Warren thought that it was a good idea. And for some reason they did it, and they still keep repeating it, so they must think that it's having some kind of a positive effect on what their outcome's going to be. Listen, they're running for second place. They're challenging each other for the Democratic nomination. So whatever you got to do to win that, I suppose, is fine. But there's no way you're getting elected president of the United States by saying you're taking our guns away. There's just no way. There's just too many people out there that are going to vote. If that was the only thing that you had bad going for you, but you were a saint on everything else, you still are not getting elected president of the United States if you even whisper about taking people's guns away.
Yes, no, I agree. We're just watching them leave here, folks. Looks like they are done with the House Intelligence. Hammered that guy enough.
They were done yesterday.
Yeah.
It was done when it started.
Done before it ever got started.
I would like to see how much money since Trump has been in office that these committees have wasted, time wasted, when they should be getting on the bandwagon. Because Trump can be judged on everything he's done, and he's been doing a lot, but it gets overshadowed by all this garbage. But the one thing that has not been accomplished yet, and it's going to take bipartisan help, is why aren't these people concentrating on the infrastructure plan? Something that he wanted to get done. And the reason that you don't hear people talking about it, he still wants it to get done, but they're not going to help him get that done because, boy, that'd be one last feather in his cap when he's accomplished too much, and they know it. So they got to try to slow him down. And what's sad is this country needs the infrastructure fixed. Everybody knows it. They've been talking about it for years. The roads, the electrical, the plumbing. This whole country is shot.
Infrastructure, yeah, it needs a massive overhaul.
And they won't do it because it's just one more thing that'll make Trump look good. They're looking past their people, their constituents. The citizens of this country demand these things to be done, and these SOBs aren't going to do it because it's just bad politics. Well,
I agree.
I get so wound up. Thank God he's doing what he's doing. He's not going to lose 2020. There's no way. But gosh, after him, so we got a couple more years of him, and then what?
Well, Trump told an interesting story when the Democrats were up on stage one night. They had I don't know, it was one night, 10 clowns up on stage. Do you remember that?
No.
It was the last Democratic, they had 10 Democrats up on stage. I say 10 clowns. So one night, 10 clowns on stage. But Trump went live too. He was at some event. It wasn't really a rally, but he was somewhere talking at the same time. And the next day, the media was like, somebody couldn't let the Democrats just have their night. Yeah. He had to go and talk. And for 73 minutes, he talked. Who does that?
That's funny.
But they really went on and on about who does that as a president? Does he have something else to do?
Right. Somebody just said, and it makes sense now because actually Dustin and I were just talking about this the other day. The Alaska, when we said gun violence, he said it's not so much murders, it's suicide.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's really, I get that. Because of the Alaska, dark, they got a lot of dark, 6 months of dark, and people are like, I'm not going to see the daylight again, bam.
Interesting understand. Fact, dentists are in the top 3 of suicides.
That's weird.
Professions.
Huh.
Oh.
That's odd.
Just an interesting tidbit for the day. So yeah, the infrastructure is. And I heard him. He was talking the other day about it again, and everybody knows it needs to get done, and they're just wasting and spinning their wheels on this garbage. I don't understand how these people keep getting reelected. Their own constituents are they got to be either blind, retarded, or they just are out of touch, and they're just grasping at this hate game. It's embarrassing. As far as the way I look at it is, it's disgusting. The president, the office of the president of the United States is being slandered. Our morals, our values in this country. I mean, we want our meat and taters so bad on the news. They're just creating so much garbage, and we're such a selfish, needy people that we just devour it. And as soon as somebody makes up a lie like this, it steamrolls. It's ridiculous. And I know there's a lot of people, everybody, the rest of the world's laughing at Trump. No, I think the rest of the world is laughing at the American people for allowing this to continue on. And these next sets of elections, I guarantee some of these people on these committees are going to get reelected.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to have the same garbage over and over and over.
We can't forget that a lot of them are stepping down. Like they've already announced they're gone.
Yeah.
I'm hoping something breaks here with all this. We got so many investigations, and everyone's forgetting. I forget. There's times we're all going on. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We know that Durham, or not just Durham, but these other investigations now that Durham's involved, because he's the one that they brought him in towards the late end, because that's the guy that starts setting up the indictments and prosecutions.
Right.
He's the only one. All the other, they don't have the right to charge charges. They only recommend them.
Right.
But these have been going on for a year and a half now, and it's like, whoa, what any other time we've always hearing about things. There's a narrative being, well, this administration doesn't, they don't leak, and other than not leaking, they don't talk about ongoing investigations. That's something that is very different with this administration. And to get a fair, something fairly looked at, it's been quietly and done in the background. And I think when it comes out, it'll be really loud. And I think they're all onto it, the left. So this is all they have is to throw the mud, to try to get it to stick.
If I was the leader of the Democratic Party, the chair,
Yeah, and
I would be looking at 2024. I would literally grab my party and say, listen, 2020, and I said this out in Garage Talk with you about Clinton. I didn't like Clinton. The things he was doing while he was in office, he inherited a really good economy. Reaganomics, I don't care what anybody says, the economy was good, and that's why he was a president for 2 terms. It's not because he was just this awesome politician from Arkansas. They pushed him like they did Obama. He was a nobody, but he had a good economy. That's why he got reelected. That's why nobody really cared how many blowjobs he was getting in the White House or who he was screwing. So, again, if I was the DNC chair, I'd say, all right, we have to get a new platform, a new strategy. We've got to come to Jesus meeting here. 2020's gone. He's going to get reelected unless the economy just tanks, or he does something way, way, way off spectrum. But so get past 2020 and start planning and working towards 2024. Because if your goal is from now on, it seems like the Democratic strategy is only throwing mud.
Yes.
I haven't heard one person say what they're going to do about the economy. Warren, Beto, whatever his name is, and then Sanders. All I hear from them is what they're going to take from those that have. They're going to take guns, and they're going to tax people, and they're going to give to other people. They don't have a strategy. They don't have a platform. None of them are talking about the infrastructure because they would be idiots to, and here's why. Whoever gets nominated is going to go up against Trump, and he's going to say, oh, so you want an infrastructure, huh? I've been trying to get the infrastructure plan done, and you're not doing anything. So they know they can't go that route. So if you really pay attention to what the Democrats are doing, it's, I'm campaigning on this. We're going to take your stuff, and we're going to give it to somebody else if we don't like you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be in charge of
redistribution.
Who is who? Doctors can make this amount.
Nobody wants that crap.
You don't want somebody walking into your place of employment saying, "Well, the new deal came out and Congress passed it. You're making too much money, Mike. So you fall in the category of you're screwed." You can't make $28 an hour because the president of the United States seems to think that you're only worth 14.
See, folks, that is.
You open up Pandora's box when you start saying so-and-so is only... Okay, I can't help it that somebody makes $1 billion. That's a moral obligation to giving monies away. And a lot of those millionaires and billionaires do give a lot of money away. But I'm not ever going to be that person. I think that there's a such thing as too much, right? But I'm never going to be that person that says what a stockbroker can make, what a owner of a business can make.
We don't want to put restrictions on anything.
Yeah, what a doctor or a pharmacist.
Once you make this amount, the excess needs to go here.
Right. Right.
Come on.
You're
going to limit people's, next thing you know, everyone's only making their limit.
Right. And what about the $15 an hour minimum wage that so many, and I know there's places that are doing it. So what does that do to a second-year apprentice in the trades that's making $17.50 an hour? As of tomorrow morning, if they bump it up to 15, he's going, man, I'm busting my butt for $17.50 an hour. And Joe Blow flipping a cheeseburger over there now all of a sudden makes 15. He isn't going to get a raise because he's making $17.50. He's above the minimum wage. I just can't believe that people are so blind and don't see what the Democratic debates are. You haven't heard anything other than take.
I got your name right now. It was saying Ben under there the whole time because he was on earlier today. Then we went to this. So, yes, we got Scott with us. If you're just joining in, we're just awesome talk. It's great to have him back. If you guys don't remember, I'm actually going to, I've been sitting here while he's been talking and listening, talking back, but I got something up. I played a little bit yesterday. I know there's different people in here today. But this does take it back for us. This is a video from about 8 or 9 months. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 13 or 14 minutes. We're going to play a couple minutes, come back, talk, play a few minutes, just to reminisce of how this whole channel started and why. And one of the biggest influences in starting it all.
In my life.
Yeah. In this
our lives.
Yeah, our lives, this movement, why we're here. Part of the reason. Yeah,
we're going to do a garage talk here for a minute and let them watch this.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, hold on here. Let's do this, and then we'll cut back in. Then we'll get back to the video. Hold on.
About the bad that we did. In the mystery schools, they refer to this mystical time of coming out of the age of innocence as the Luciferian philosophy. I've tried to illuminate you with this for years on my radio broadcast.
How's it going?
Hey, how you doing? I don't want to bogart the show here, but I do want to say hi, Scott. By the way, you need to stop hiding your handsome face behind that microphone.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very
Who
much.
knew YouTube could be the new matchmaker? I was joking.
But Mike, I wanted to just say thank you so much. You inspired me. I did a live stream last night. I'm not trying to plug anything, but more people, there's a whole generation, and even, our generation, that do not know who Bill Cooper is. Even when they announced his death, they called him a militia member and a talk show host, when in actuality he was a patriot. People need to go back and listen. I did a whole show informing people of who he was, how he served this country. And yes, Behold a Pale Horse is a great book. However, as you grow and you learn things, you change some things. So he did get away from the alien thing, and he was just
people don't know that. If you don't,
I know.
But you're right. Keep going.
They caught some of his early stuff, and they tried to.
You can always re-show just the early stuff. But yes, he had a whole history, and I'm gonna have to check that show out. I definitely did not. I missed that. But that's awesome that you did that, Elle.
I did it because of you, because of your clips and what he said about, yes, it is possible for a good guy to get in and to do it. It is possible. People need to be patient, okay? The revolution will not be televised. We used to think it would be, but it would cause mass hysteria. And God wins, guys. God wins.
In the Bible or in the church, they talk about the fall of man. Same thing. There's only one difference between the Luciferian philosophy and the fall of man, is that those who talk about the fall of man believe in God, whether or not they believe in a Savior, they believe in God. The ones who believe in the Luciferian philosophy do not.
These people are satanic, and they will go down.
Here's the way they look at it. Here's their metaphor for the end of innocence. Adam and Eve were held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust, cruel, and vindictive God. Until Lucifer, through his agent Satan, set man free from this garden by giving him the gift of intellect. Through the use of intellect, man will conquer the earth, will conquer nature, and will himself become God. It's taught in every Masonic temple in this land. Every secret brotherhood, every secret society, every mystical temple, every occult organization teaches the Luciferian philosophy. They do not believe in Lucifer. They do not believe in any entity called a devil, and they do not believe in God. It is a mistake for you to assume that they do. They are atheists in the strictest sense of the word. They are humanists.
These people.
Humanist or globalist. You guys can think what you want about Bill Cooper. It's okay. I like your. I don't like, but you're entitled to your opinion.
You do have a freedom, and
yes,
of your opinion.
So
I love Bill. I know he was scrutinized quite a bit for some of the things he wanted to talk about. He obviously was killed because of some of the things he knew.
Oh, yeah. Look at his live radio show 3 months before September 11th, calling it out, saying if they do something to these buildings, don't believe it. They're going to blame this Osama bin Laden, named him by name. And he's not the only one that had that intel. Trump had the intel. Trump wrote a book that came out in January of 2000. And everyone's like, Trump wrote a book in January 2000. Well, how did it come out in January of 2000 if it hit the bookshelves in January of 2000? That meant he probably wrote it in 99.
Yeah.
And it talked about there's going to be a guy, he's going to do this. Osama bin Laden, he named him, and we're going to be chasing him around the rocks. And caves after cave, we're never going to find him. Then a few short news cycles later, on to the next boogeyman. That's about exactly what we went through.
What's sad, November 5th, 2001.
Bill Cooper, right?
His death.
Yeah.
November 5th.
Because he called out September 11th, so about not even a month and 3 weeks later.
Yeah, murder by suicide. Or suicide by murder.
I have to agree, he was very disgruntled in his last days. If you look at the last interview, somebody came and got him on his porch. He was just really skeptical, and it was a different time back then. You had the actual evil you're trying to expose in full control at the time. I mean, any of these people. That's why I don't know, but
it's almost what's his name that no longer is
Jones.
Yeah,
same thing with him.
Rants quite a bit. I've been known to rant, but all in all, the message that he and Cooper and guys like us and some of you, it's the message of patriotism, the message of protect what so many have already died and risked so much for. This isn't make believe. This isn't Candyland, or however you want to say it. You have people that want to fundamentally change the way we live, and our laws, our morals are crap and going just down the drain faster and faster. The younger generation is full of just complete disrespect. If you really just look at what's going on, police officers. I know it's always cool to say F the police or screw the police, when you're a kid or whatever. But sometimes when you become an adult, if you get arrested, it's probably your fault. He didn't just pick you out, and I know there's bad apples. But this entire blame game, entitlement, just the complete lack of morality, and they're being led by adults from the left that are always whining and bitching and complaining and screaming, this isn't fair, and they're having scream sessions. I absolutely love those compilations that you've made or other people have made about the night of 2016 election. was
meltdown.
Without a doubt, one of my top 5 moments in my life. I finally got, I witnessed history, but you see these people running, screaming and crying because their candidate, that if they really did their own research, they would find out, oh my God, I don't want that person running my world.
Nope.
It's just, wake up. You get one crack at this life, and so many of them are wasting it with constant BS. Get up and go do something about it. If you're not making enough and you don't like that I make more money than you or Joe Blow makes more, go get a job.
That is good advice. So we're going to do our small garage talk. We'll play a little bit more of this video. We're going to come back. I'm looking at headlines. I'm laughing. It's always a blast. Just right here, Mattel launches new line of gender-neutral dolls.
Oh, my God.
That nerds are the new bullies on the playground. 30 of the biggest lies and hoaxes perpetrated onto the American people. And then, like we said this morning, Biden campaign is in chaos after the Justice Department reveals or admits we may have to investigate Biden.
You're going to have to if you're investigating Trump. At least there's proof that Biden threatened and then acted upon his threat. You
don't have to go looking for it, you mean, and create investigations to find the crime. It's just there, blatant.
Absolute proof.
I've been arguing with a guy that I went to high school with. I think he was a great head man. I don't really know him, never really hung out with him, but somehow we're mutual friends on Facebook or one of the social medias that we run. And I've been arguing with this guy for months. But lately I've been hitting him like with this. He's like, oh, here it is, Trump's impeachment. And then I'm telling him all this Biden stuff. And he, by the end of this couple hundred tweets back and forth, it's, well, they're all crooked. He wants to go to that.
What?
And I'm like, well, then how come if they're all crooked, only Trump always gets investigated? And everything I'm pointing out to you, because by the way, that tape from Biden is old, right? 2016.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we have to refer to, and then that makes other people be like, ugh, we're trying to talk about Trump here, and you're always bringing up Hillary Clinton, but
you're bringing up facts, man.
Yeah. Other times of more similar, the things that you're accusing Trump of, here's some proof of your guy.
How can I win this debate if you don't let me?
I don't want to live my life like that. Like,
no.
Like this guy killed somebody, gets away with it, and then now, Trump gets hemmed up for that. And it's like, well, hey, this guy killed somebody too. And I'm not trying to whitewash everything. And like, well, since he did it, he did it.
Obama and Clinton supporters always spin it that way. Or Trump haters always spin it. Well, why are you bringing up other people's stuff? Well, because you didn't care yesterday that Joe Blow did it or your candidate did it.
How does that help us now that I'm in tune, Scott, and I see that Trump's doing bad stuff?
And they really do that. See, you're not allowing me to win the debate, Scott.
Yeah.
You got to lay down and let me just have this moment. And I'm thinking, no.
Nope, I will not lay down. If Trump did this, I'm all for it too. Let's get him.
Right.
But we're going to get, we call this fair justice under the law, folks. And this is all we've been fighting for.
I get asked all the time, actually, the guy the other night that told me, he goes, not all people, or you're just a Republican, a crazy Republican. I said, so you make an assumption that I'm a Republican because I like Trump. I said, I'm a patriot. He goes, well, I bet you vote Republican. I said, well, it's none of your business, but I do vote who I like. In the last election, I think I did pull the ticket on 2 blue candidates. And here's and this is a whole different topic that I could just go out of control on. What would happen if we did away with the color blue and did away with the color red and did away with Democrat and do away with Republican? What if we were just people that were campaigning or debating or whatever?
Yeah.
Because we all know certain sects of people and groups of people have to vote blue or always vote blue, usually the inner cities, because they think the Democratic Party is doing something for them, and in all reality, they're not. And then you got the unions. No offense, I'm not bashing on the unions. Mainly are always blue. But that's just because it's the way it's always been. And if you ask somebody, well, why Republican, why Democrat? Why not just vote for John Smith because you like the guy?
Yeah, why do you have to have these? Well, that's a guise of it, the team thing to get you over here. If we can just win, we're going to win a fraction over here. We're always going to have those people that listen and do based off that.
Right.
But they know a chunk could be bought into, this is their team. So we talk about that whole, this is my team. And we see it a lot. Like, if you even break it down to sports, folks, for you to understand at home, you might see, your rival cousin come over. He's for the one team, you're for the other. And when a bad call happens, right in front of you, these people won't admit it. They'll laugh. They'll taunt you with that, right? It's like, no, I didn't see him grab his shirt.
No. And you damn well did.
Yes.
You damn well
but
did.
They will cover for that play.
Because it benefited you.
Yeah.
But the very next play call that goes against you, the ref's an SOB, you're an SOB.
Fire the guy now. I'm with you. I'm with you. He needs to be fired.
Your wife's taco salad all of a sudden sucks. Everything is just totally, it's funny. But
so
human nature, you put labels on things.
So they've early on tried to, I think, like we talked about, the worst case scenario, not the worst, but normally by the time you're 18, like, you got kids, I got kids, and by the time they're 18 and they're leaving, we're hoping that our kids are instilled with some kind of values of sorts that we've, and sometimes that leads to, it's like, they're God-loving, gun-toting, and Republican, and that's typical, and they love the Bears or the
and that's what they were instilled with.
Yes, if that's simple.
It's kind of an indoctrination, but it was my right to do that.
Yes, and were you doing to subvert your kid and lead them down a path of no? But we also know the kids that are unfortunately put into the sex slave things and how they're, what do they call that? They start feeling like they're captors, their victim, and it's their fault and.
Yeah.
You know, that's
There's a not a disease, but there's a label.
You remember
there's a label for everything.
Yeah, there is. Charles, what is that? Not Manchurian Candidate, but Munchausen syndrome or something like that. Is
Yeah.
it? That's the victim of their. It was my fault that I'm here. What's her name? Do you remember the TV show Charles in Charge? Charles in Charge. Scott Baio.
Yes, vaguely.
So the girl there, the one, Nicole Eggert, she has been accusing him of he molested me all the years on that show.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's
I
come
just
out.
keep letting him do it. Yeah.
Well, it goes into this, like, you know, she was about 15 or 16, and it was, you know, it really was like about a 2-year thing of him inappropriately commenting, inappropriately touching, and then it led to one time when she was like 17 at his personal house that things happened. And by that point, you know, I don't know. That's what the whole thing has been. Like, well, why did you, you know, we always say that, you know, and we don't understand the victim's mindset, or I don't know, folks, how to even delve into that psyche. But
I hate the victim card.
Yeah.
And I understand there's people that are crimes are committed against every day, but to wake up and act like a victim when you live in the United States of America just drives me absolutely bonkers. I could sell my story to lots of people. There's lots of people like me that I wasn't born and raised poor. We were not wealthy by any means. Where I come from, where I am now, 99.9% of that is because I chose to go a certain direction. But there's so many people, even my age bracket still, that I can't just get past. They label, poor me, I'm a victim, I can't get up out of poverty because I just can't. I can't do it. And that's one thing I teach my kids. That word doesn't come out.
Yeah, you've written your own book, and you know, we can probably go through that own book of your life, and each chapter might, you know, go back 5 chapters, really struggleful.
Yeah,
right?
ups and downs.
These other people are victim because of your
my success.
cutting around. Yeah. Your story is their demise, and you know, or something. And I get that too. I hate that. Well, Scott, you tripped and landed into your business owner.
Yeah. I never fell into a bush of thorns ever. I was never broke. I was never divorced.
Well, good for you one day getting up and starting your own business. You know, we all can't do that. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
That was our point with this Bill Cooper. We're going to show you why we take a small garage talk, because we need breaks. We got to get up and stretch. We're
old.
Old.
Pull my back just getting out of bed in the morning. So a couple minutes.
Yeah, a couple minutes here. Watch this. Check this out. Again, Bill Cooper gets into why you should start your own. That's the whole point of some of this video. Towards the end, he gets into you can own your own. The freedom of the press. We're the press. Are you? You might think you are, but you're probably not. Watch this.
Are satanic, and they will go down.
Oh, God bless you. That is actually correct. Thanks, Al. Thank you so much.
I got goosebumps all of a sudden, and maybe it's, God, I don't know what. I'm not real good with grammar, so I do apologize, but just what she just said, this takes me back. I'm very humbled. This is exactly why I wanted to do this show, Mike. I mean, there are other people out there that think like us. We're no longer, the quick 10-second, 20-second plug of how Mike and I got started. Too many kept telling us, shut your mouth. Don't talk about it here at the Legion or the bar or wherever him and I happen to be, so...
Yes,
I am way taken aback now. This is exactly why we're doing what we're doing. It's great, and I hope you all feel the same way. There's almost 100,000 of us strong now.
Yes.
Subscribers, thank you very much. But how awesome is that to know that we're not alone? I knew we weren't, but how do you reach them? Well, now we have found the platform, and
there's a big story here, folks, and that's exact. I'm glad. And Elle hit it on the head. That was the whole reason I made that. I heard people saying, like, well, if you look at his past, this and that, or this person, it's like, well, look at all of our past and look at what point do you get changed? What point do you figure out something that you want to move forward and operate in a different way? Well, there's a lot of them throughout our time in history. People that have saw things, did things, were part of things, and that's the only reason we even got a glimpse of what's going on is because these people felt something, whether it was God, the hand of God, or just a conscience of their own that this isn't right and I'm going to try to do something about it. I want to warn people. These are the people we should listen to. So awesome.
Think about how, now I've seen and read and stayed up on a lot of the Cooper stuff. Of course, when I started watching it or listening or whatnot, researching, he was already dead. He never looked or acted scared. He spoke defensively. He was worried for his family. But, oh my God, that was a different genre. That was a different time that you and I, he gave us the freedoms that we're doing right now, kind of. You know, right now, we could be pissing somebody off, pardon my language. We could be upsetting or unraveling or ruffling some people's feathers, but we're not alone in this. They can't go after all of us, but he, in an early stage, was kind of alone, ultimately ending in his death. But he kind of laid the foundation for us, and because of technology, we're not alone anymore, and we don't have to have the same fears that he did. I couldn't imagine having to come over, get in the studio with Mike, say my opinions, talk about being a patriot, talk about the Constitution, and then go get in my vehicle and wonder if my brake lines are cut or something. You know what I mean? But there probably was a time, obviously, when him and Schneider started this type of thing. They were doing it on AM radios, and it was so easy just to knock them off. You know?
Bill Cooper did the one where it was, I don't think ham radio, but similar, where it would only reach so far, and then he'd rely on other people to grab it and beam it out further. No. Funny point on that, L, is so you were inspired to do your live stream last night because of what I put out, which is leading back to Bill. The whole premise of this channel was based off of one of Bill's. I think me and Scott listened to it. I'd listened to it years before, so 3 years ago I showed it to him again on a journey, and I went to go turn it off after 10 minutes, and he's like, wait, don't touch it. Oh my God.
I was hooked.
I was like, cool. I thought I was going to go somewhere else, but this is one I did want you to listen to, and I'm glad you got hooked you. But at the end of that, I think he was in Lansing, Michigan. He's on stage, and he's like, folks, it's mine. And he's talking about the radio station and how you could have your, but this one's mine, and that's why he did this, and you could have it too. And I encourage everyone for a little bit of money. And he was talking about buying these transistors that hooked up to your satellites back in the early 90s, and for several $100 you can get up and running, get a microphone, and you can do this as well.
Their freedom to make their political statement. You have stopped yourself. You have stopped everyone. And that must never happen in this country. It must never happen in this country. Because if it does, there'll never be another congregation like this, and you'll never hear me speak again, because I'll be dead. And so will most of you. This country's about freedom. Because only with freedom can you have all of the other things that everybody professes that they want. It's the only way it can be done. I hear all kinds of misconceptions and misstatements. I have the freedom of the press. No, you don't. No, you don't. The man who owns the press has the freedom of the press. And he can say in his press whatever he wants, but you can't. That's why I get angry with Americans when they say, the Jews control the press. Who sold it to them? How'd they get it? You want the press? Start a press. You want to be on the radio? Do it. But stop whining. Stop bitching. Stop complaining. That guy that owns the press, that's his press. He can do with it what he wants. Just like you do with your car what you want because it's your property. He doesn't owe you anything unless you've got a contract with his signature on it that says he will print what you say. If you can't produce that, he doesn't owe you anything. That's America. You know what's wonderful about America? You can have a press. I have a press. How many of you have seen my newspaper? That newspaper's no joke. It makes congressmen cringe when they see it. It scares the hell out of the enemy. You too can have a radio show. I'm going to teach you how just here in just a couple of minutes. You too can publish books like this. I did it. The Harvest Trust is the trust for my children. I'm not rich. I don't have anything. You know how I financed this book? I sold copies before it was printed to people who believed enough in me to buy them. I don't have any money. I have my family. And that's all the wealth I ever need. I don't make any money from my radio show. Veritas has operated in the red from the beginning. It probably always will. But I got something that you don't have. I have a free press. It's mine. And I get to say what I want. And I get to publish what I want and print what I want because it's mine. And I'm free. And it's my free press. That's why I don't care if somebody calls up my radio show and says they don't like what I say. Screw you. Get your own show. I don't care that they complain because I won't let them talk on my radio show. Screw you. Get your own radio show. This is mine. Belongs to me. I don't have any contract with you. I don't owe you anything. I was speaking in California one time. A lady stood up in the middle of the crowd and said, "You make me so angry. You're a terrible man. Why didn't you tell me this years ago?" She was lucky I was telling her then. I didn't owe her anything. But she blamed me because she didn't have the information that I was imparting to her on that day years ago. And I had it years before that. I didn't know how to do it. I would have. Oh, God, I would have. You don't really understand sometimes what a terrible burden it is to know some of the things that I know and try to wake people up and impart this knowledge to them and find out that they just have walls built in front of them. They want to be slaves. But we're making some chinks in those walls.
But here we are today doing it on a total different platform in the same idea. He would be on this as well, or everything. But this is, that's what I always told Scott. We need our own platform instead of just arguing with the same five guys.
And somebody said earlier, and I lost track, but thank you for the compliment. I do say often what I feel and what I think and whatnot, but that's what inspired me. That when I listened to Bill, that's what got to me. If we all just clam up and we don't speak up for our rights and support them and defend them and speak together as a group, we won't be heard, or we will be labeled as conspiratists or BSers or whatever it is. Mike and I don't necessarily always have a platform per se. We just get on here and we talk about today's events. We're not news anchors that a producer and editor's telling us.
We don't have a teleprompter right here.
We bounce ideas. We're
not controlled.
Right. I mean, this is no different than if all 100,000 of us could be at a bar or in my living room or right here and just chatting. This is nothing more than a portal for us to be able to communicate with other people, like-minded people that we wouldn't normally have known about or ever meet or ever see. So it is a powerful movement, and they better fear it. And I don't mean fear it as if we're just going to physically hurt them, but we're hurting.
The biggest fear they have is the public awakening. Mm-hmm. That their whole guise lies on. So if all of us are awakened to the fact that the real reason they don't want the border is because it would stop the flow of drugs, and how much invested they are into that crap, I don't know, but we're just going to keep it at, if you're awake to the fact when they ignore that and they're on TV saying like, no, it's a racist wall, or saying whatever else it really is, and you know that it's to do with the human trafficking, the drug flow. What do you know they're lies now. Yeah. It doesn't work.
You guys are the pale horse. Bill Cooper would be proud. You know what? Most people wouldn't understand that aren't us. You guys and us. That I'm going to take that home with me tonight with a chip on my shoulder. If I'm compared to Bill Cooper, I've done my job.
The student becomes the teacher.
Yeah. I'd still be the student if they didn't kill him. Yes. So that's great. That's a hell of a compliment.
We had to pick up the helm. We had to keep the candle burning.
Somebody had to. I know there's a lot of other channels. I know there's a lot of other thinkers, but too many of them then get to such a high. And I promise you this, no matter if we reach 1 million, 10 million, or a zillion subscribers, Mike and I are not going to sell out. We're never going to sell our opinions out. There's not a producer in the world that wants me on their microphone anyway. I'm not going to be corrupted or churned. I mean, that's the whole point.
That's huge. And another thing, folks, is a lot of these older Bill Cooper videos I'm bringing back are ones I did earlier on this channel. Of course, YouTube doesn't allow me.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything bad about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you were Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy,
Virtuous.
Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
What about those
confirming
hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that. Actually,
No, I really am.
you are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay, yeah. In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
Well, he's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he
Is he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working.
Working.
Working to help people.
What
like
kind
you.
of work? See, this is what a Mason...
There you go. He's pure and virtuous. Biden campaigning chaos, folks. That is something you do not want to forget.
So what'd you guys think of that clip? I don't see the text stuff. So
Oh, hold on here.
Follow
There we go.
Bill Cooper. I
Whoops, I did it again. Hold on. There we go. Text her up.
I can listen to that 2-minute spiel of his over and over and over. I don't owe you anything. Mike and I again started this not because of Bill, but I mean he was a big influence. But it's amazing when you really break it down who the American people, who the people in the world are getting their news from. If you follow the pyramid, there's 5 or 6 corporations that own the majority of everything. And that person that owns that particular, let's say NBC for instance, you're not going to say anything on the nightly news, Dan Rather or whoever it might be, that he or she didn't want you to say. Mike and I have free will sitting here. We chat, we have these conversations. Most of it's from our hip. These people are being told what to tell you and I. And if you think that it's news, you're crazy. It's what they want you to know, what they want you to see, and what they want you to believe. The Google generation, the internet really opened up doors for all of us to be able to go gather more information, kind of like what you were saying. There are those that see a 5-minute commercial or a 5-minute clip off the nightly news or read a local newspaper and they become experts. And guys like Mike and I, or some of you, will research a certain topic for a while, hours, different articles, books, whatever, clippings, and then we'll make opinions based on that. We're not factual. We can't be positive of what we're reading, but if you gather enough information and read up on that same topic from different angles from all over, then you can probably gather a good opinion. Mike's got a barking crazy dog here. So I will always challenge everybody to be like a Cooper or like us. Do your own critical thinking. The nightly news isn't news. It's put in your face for a reason. I'm not saying that all news anchors are evil, because I doubt they are. They're just people getting paid a lot of money. They might as well be Hollywood movie stars. They're reading a teleprompter that somebody else prepared for them, and they're just delivering that message. It's not their own message. It's not journalism. That's just repeating or reading the teleprompter. That's. I don't like journalists that say, well, I'm a journalist, and you're not a journalist. You're saying exactly what your chief editor and the owner of your company told you to say. Kind of like some of my employees. They go out and do what I ask them to do. They don't just get to go do whatever it is they want to do. That's not freedom. I mean, they have the freedom to go do another job if they want. But those are different topics, different things. Mike and I are never... I don't think anybody's ever asked us or told us to do or say anything. I mean, there's conversations that we ask, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? But we're not owned. We're never going to be owned. Can't imagine what somebody would want to pay us to sit in front of a teleprompter anyway. So, yeah, I got a little weird here since Mike's gone. I'm trying to read some of your guys' messages. Get out of Babylon, blah, blah, blah. 1970, yeah. Melody says, yeah, when I started in radio back in 70, it wasn't that way, but things have changed. I believe that. I don't know if any of you guys seen the clip from the guy from Dumb and Dumber. There's a Hollywood or HBO show, but when he was asked, he was sitting on a stage in front of students and why America is the greatest country in the world, and he went on that big spiel. He said, you know, we once were the greatest country. We had people that we revered. Walter Cronkite. I can remember my grandparents and my parents saying that, you know, when you listened to him at night, you felt like you were getting the truth. And that could very well be, Melody. Back in the day, I'm sure that news was news. And then at some point, the table of 10 that I always refer to them, decided and realized that they can control the population, and they went to the evil side of things. I'd like to think that Fox is a better one. They're probably, in my opinion, they're better than the rest of them. They try to stay fair and balanced without trying to steal their verbiage. I don't really care for the CNNs of the world. I don't like them at all. Sometimes I tune in just to hear how stupid they sound. Yeah, there you go. It's nightly programming. That's exactly right. Programming in a sixth sense. Actually, they're programming our minds. They're only telling you what they want you to know. There's and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we sit here and talk about the Biden stuff. We talk about the HRC, Hillary Clinton. You talk about Weiner and all them. The sickening things that are going on. That's news. That's stuff that we all should be able to find out and know more about. Why don't they give it to us? That's news. Nope. It's just a big platform for them to program. And if you go back and you look at this period, Mike's done a couple of shows on it. The people that are tied to the White House or public officials that are in the corporate level of the media outlets, it's actually kind of scary. The Obama administration had a lot of links and people in his administration that were married to and or related to people at those levels. So if you think that the media is right or even close to being neutral, you would be dead wrong. You would be way wrong. And just go look at the compilations from the election night. Every one of them SOBs were just freaking out when the reports kept coming back in. Well, the state went to Trump, and you could see these people hysterical. It was going against everything they were told, everything that they told us to expect, right? So I think they were more upset that they looked like asses, because for months those very same people that we're talking about that are at night programming our brains through that little black box, Hillary's going to win, there's no way Trump, and they weren't upset that Trump won as much as it was. They were just called out.
Yeah, and like somebody said here, but Fox is still controlled. I mean, they hired that lady that I'm tired of CNN hiring everybody that keeps getting fired from like the FBI for lying. Like McCabe, then they hire as a contributor. Yeah. It's like these are known liars, and but Fox hired that Donna Brazile, the one that cheated, gave Hillary, and they have her on, and it's like, well, they want to have the illusion of these. So I agree. Fox is probably there's lots of people on there I do not like to watch, like that guy at 4 o'clock. I don't know his name. He's horrible. But you got like Hannity. You got a few people with enough clout that it seems like they're able to do their own thing for some reason. They've taken a few out. What was the one guy? Bill O'Reilly. He went down. But you still have like Tucker and Hannity.
Melody says 18 months ago our pastor told us not to trust Fox, and now except for a couple of them, you can't trust Fox. I don't trust any of them.
No,
but I'm not saying I watch Fox every morning. My wife and I do Fox and Friends and stuff, because if I'm going to look for world news or the news, it's kind of like picking the least of the evil one. I watch Fox. I don't think those people are fake. It's not ironic that they have very pretty blondes and women that are on this. I mean, but whatever, they all do. I can't stand CNN. The one lady with the butch haircut, real short, she's the one that just hates. I can't remember her name. CNN. She drives me crazy. This is your world. This is your president. Something about you're not dead. You're not in hell. This is real. And she's just going on and on about her personal feeling. And it's like, we don't tune in for your personal feeling, lady. We know you hated Trump.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Fox is great. I'm not saying you should trust any of them.
But most people have to tune into something, and if you're going to tune something on, you're saying that Fox lines up a little bit more. You don't hear a bunch of stuff that just irks you. It seems to be kind of fair and non-biased. But
to me, it seems like Fox is always going. Their stories are always attacking the other news media.
Yes. No. Exactly. It's the opposite.
Which I kind of find humorous.
Yeah. And not a few, like somebody finally said it. Donna Brazile, Shep Smith, Juan Williams. So Juan Williams is on during the 5.
Yeah.
There's and I think that's unique because they do have like a panel of 4 Republicans or conservatives, and they have Juan for his take.
Yeah.
He's always against Trump. He's always this
But at
other.
least they do it.
At least they do that.
Yeah.
I don't see a Brady bunch right now. It's me and Scott on the screen, but we could have 12 boxes of all of us for Trump.
And we're all friends, and we love each other.
Yeah.
And everything that Mike says is absolutely wonderful.
Yes. It's like, all right,
it's exhausting to watch.
It is, because I'm on CNN yet. Like Don Lemon's like, all right, he's on there by himself with a box, and then he's like, we're gonna bring on a few people, and they click it, and it's like, and it's like 15 boxes, and they're all.
And they just rant on top of each other. I'm like, oh my god, you can't even control.
Well, Trump's racist, and they all concur. Yes, he is.
He must be, because Juan just said he was. It's garbage, and I love how. I think it was Melody that said that it's evening programming.
Yes, and it's called programming.
You're programming our brains. So, again, the
channeling. When you flip through the channels, you're channeling, folks. It's all of that.
I love the fact that again, when you walked away, I love the fact that Mike and I can do this. I love the fact that nobody's forcing us to do this. But I just am speechless at the response and at where this came from. I'm humbled. Humbled is the word. We did the one episode with it when we got to 100,000, and we did an appreciation episode, and I was blown away that we got to 100,000.
Yeah.
And now it's like 162-ish or something like that.
Almost 164, I believe.
I would never have thought this, but why? Why? And now I sit here and think, well, why not? There's got to be a lot of people like us, and apparently there are a lot of people like us. And I would love to get to 1 million. I don't know what that really would say or do, or what kind of badge that gives me or a feather in our cap, but it would be cool to get to 1 million, because then that just reflects there's that many more people that think like us.
Yes.
I look at that number for that reason. How many people are like-minded like us? And as that number gets bigger, my heart gets bigger, and I feel a little less anxiety about, oh my God, we're surrounded by millennials.
Yeah. No, we take comfort. We definitely want the word to get out, and by the numbers it shows that it's working, that there's people that are on our playing field that feels like we're not alone. There's other people that think like us.
Yeah.
Satan is a liar. I agree.
Chris Wallace sucks too. We could just name drop it. Remember Megan? What's her name? The pretty blonde that was with Fox, and then she saw the light and she left them. And here's what I believe happened.
Oh, the one Alex Jones said she looked like a tranny.
Yes. So she leaves, and I think she popped up on NBC for like 6 months. And then
the blackface thing got her. She didn't do blackface, but she
was framed. She was framed.
She stuck up for somebody on that. I think it was Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
What did Megyn Kelly go down for? Who knows it? Somebody in the chat room box would know. Tell us exactly what she went down for.
She left Fox for money, right? And all of a sudden her morals changed overnight. You know, I'm leaving Fox. I can't believe I was ever with Fox. Blah blah. And then she screws up, and then NBC ousts her, and it's like, oh, way to go, Megyn. You sold your soul.
Yes. The bigger thing on what Trump did in that conversation that did come out, like me and Ben or Scott talked about in the beginning of that conversation, they actually talked about each other's country. That president from Ukraine had said, I'm doing much like you, draining of the swamp. He had ran on corruption. He was the Ukraine's first president to come in and say, crap that corruption, anti-corruption, we're going to take down corruption. So they spent a lot of conversation in that 30 minutes talking about corruption, getting rid of it, like you in the United States trying to get rid of yours, or we're doing it here. And somebody brought up the point that the media, when they talk about this, it does bring up Biden a little bit, but they also get to this crowd strike because Trump had brought up the crowd strike. Now, we know that was a server. Trump was asking him about the server. Now, the funny thing is Trump didn't need to do any of this. And honestly, I don't know why he did, because we have this John Durham investigating this already. Trump was just making sure that this new president was going to work with our current investigation people. Not that Trump himself was never in the investigation, but he was like, yeah, you know, when Barr gets around to getting a hold of you, I'm hoping that you will work with him and be totally transparent and open up all doors. The left is taking that to be, he's going after a political opponent. Well, we know that's what Obama did with Trump when Trump was running as a citizen. They hemmed him up on that. Everything they're accusing Trump of doing has been done either by Obama, by Biden, by Kerry, by Hillary. It's a very funny folks.
It's hypocrisy.
He brought up that server, though, the CrowdStrike, which dawned with me, and I'm thinking, I just saw somebody post, but folks, that's huge. The CrowdStrike server, this is a server that we think like the Seth Rich. They were running this out of the Ukraine. This could be that big that Biden, the energy company, the server, it was all the guys. We know that there was Biden and the Obama administration made certain halts to the Navy in that region. There was things coming in and out. I mean, it gets really deep and big, but we're just gonna have to wait for more information. I just saw somebody kind of hit on that. And
Melody, I don't know when I went away. Her question was, Scott, when did you go away? I'm trying to catch up exactly. I got slammed in April.
I think there's some shows from definitely early 19 that you've been on.
But I didn't. I took a. It wasn't planned either.
No, it was
multiple times I was trying to get back over here, and it just happened, and time just kept slipping.
Scott runs 2 businesses, folks, so he's a multiple business owner, and
got Rugrats. Hey, this is news for all of you that do know me or care. We're having our 5th child, and it's due January 7th. It's going to be a little girl. We're going to call her Willow. So there's some new news. That's about all that's changed since the last time anybody's seen me, except my hairdo maybe a little bit. Somebody just said something that was interesting. Sarah, the politician from D.C., is saying that...
I'll bring it up on the screen.
She'd like to see impeachment ballot, but they want it to be a silent one. Like, we won't... The American public won't know who voted for the impeachment and who didn't. And one of our people just said, man...
Kelly said blackface was acceptable for Halloween costumes.
Right.
I knew it was a blackface thing that got her. Yeah. So that was Megyn or Megyn Kelly.
So if you can repeat, I think Sarah, but anyway, they one of these politicians is saying basically they want to take a vote, Congress, and they want it to be a closed ballot to where, the American public doesn't know who's voting. And I think that's wrong. I think your constituents have the right to know if you're voting for an impeachment or not. What do you got to hide from? Well, I silently want to hate Trump, because if I come out and say that I hate Trump, then I probably won't get reelected, which I think is BS. I think your constituents have the right to know how you're voting. Any other vote that you do in Congress, you can track these people online. You can see what votes they're there for. how many, which ones they miss. Congratulations. Thanks, Cheryl.
Keep popping them out, Scott. We need more Patriots in this nation.
Well, this is going to be the last pop.
It's the last Patriot he's bringing.
Five is enough, and it's crazy. My wife was nervous, to say the least. She said...
Lots of congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Face and Cheryl Andrews, thank you.
I wasn't... I was kind of shocked. We were trying about a year and a half ago, but I wasn't near as... I was happy.
Now, when you mean trying, what do you mean? Tell us some detail. I'm joking.
Is this NR?
Joking.
But it's crazy because my oldest, Hannah, we just graduated her from high school, and she's a freshman at IU, becoming a nurse. So 18 and a half years different. Actually, almost 19.
Oh, wow, yes.
Willow will be born, and then 10 years later.
From your oldest to the youngest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hannah turns 19 like 5 or 6 days after Willow's born. So, yeah, we spread them across 2 decades anyway.
No, that's like mine. I got 19's my oldest, and then 7 is my youngest.
Yeah.
So, but there you go.
12-year gap.
Yeah.
19-year, though. Phew. So, it's... things are going to change again.
Got Lori Ann, congrats. And so at this time, we like to always, maybe you guys can put where you're from, where you're beaming in from. We always love to do that at some of these live feeds, just to see where you're coming from and what we're working with. So.
I find it interesting too, as I watch. Last night when I was bowling, I was trying to I was texting
Bowling
in,
league.
but I was watching some of the comments, and just like right now, people's thoughts on who's going to run in the future. Junior's going to run. JFK Jr.'s going to... Listen, I love a good conspiracy, but I don't see JFK Jr. running for president in 2024. Maybe
Keller, Texas.
There you go. Their wish you happiness stands with Israel just said, man, does that blow away quick.
Hold on.
She was the one, or he was, I think it was a she. It was just there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in here going quick.
Man.
I don't know where they go after that.
Oh my gosh, it popped away, but she was the one saying, they want to do a ballot, but they want it to be a silent ballot.
I look at these ones on the very top. See this translucent one? Tampa, Florida, originally from Illinois, close to Fort Worth. This
Nova Scotia.
Love from West Virginia.
Love West Virginia. The Devil's Tail.
Ooh.
Crunch 7 time. The Devil's Tail. It's got like 112 switchbacks and stuff. It's like a destination for motorcyclist enthusiasts. It's the hardest ride in the country.
Yes.
The switchbacks are crazy. More people. There's bikes in trees because people go off the road. It's pretty deadly actually too.
Wow.
So I love some West Virginia.
Boston, Oklahoma, Keller, Texas, Lori Ann, Keller, Texas. Ain't that there's a military base down there?
Keller, is that near Tyler, Texas?
Keller seems like a military army base. Grillin, Bloomsburg. He's one of our mods.
Pennsylvania. It's a big state to drive across. Jeez. Fort Worth, Tennessee.
There we go. Prescott. Fort Worth, Prescott. West Virginia. East Tennessee, Texas, California.
Georgia.
Oh, California.
California. Hey, I got a sister that lives in, I believe it's Sonora.
Sonoma, California. Okay.
Yeah, Northern California's pretty much.
Yeah, it's just they're
it's
big.
Red. It's red. We're going back to the labels. They're red.
No, they got the cancer kind of like New York. The city is a cancer. It dictates to the whole state.
Right. Pretty much. Yeah, I did a job for a guy in northern New York, damn near to Canada, but I said, what's your biggest complaint? I usually ask my customers that to see if I can help them with it. And he says, my biggest complaint is I pay a tax clear up here that goes directly to New York City.
Yeah.
He says it's a separate tax. Now, I live 400 miles away from that city. But
the people in the city voted that in. So look, folks, we just don't have enough money in the city to support this. But we have enough people here for you guys to vote for everyone in the state to pay for it. I agree.
Perfect example of
socialism.
Oh my gosh! White states always should have a vote. The college
electoral.
that is the best way to put that to anybody that says, "Oh, you got to do away with the electoral college." No.
Hillary won the popular. Well, if you get into a race, Scott, like if you get into, I would say the electoral, if you're going to try to beat that system or know that system, that you would approach it differently than and then going into an election and think, I'm going to win the popular vote if you don't run a popular vote.
Right.
It's like the 100-meter dash versus the 50-yard dash. You prepare differently.
Correct.
So for everyone to act like, well, Hillary won the popular, and well, we don't have a popular vote here.
Doesn't matter.
So like Trump says, like, not my fault she didn't go to Wisconsin enough or to...
Per state, the popular vote matters.
Yeah,
right? Because
you have to win the popular in each state.
Traditionally, your state electoral votes should go with the way the constituents want.
Yes.
But for the love of God, there's, 40 million, 50 million people in California? And then another 15 or 20?
Yeah, we always talk about, even with the electoral, I think not even with the popular vote, you can win like LA, Chicago, New York, and then like one spot where the most retirement community is in Florida. I don't know, Ocala or something. Right. That would win the country.
Entire thing.
Yep, that's it. That's it. Because there's more people in those 4 places than anyone else.
That's why the electoral vote is so important. And what's really crazy is if Texas, I think the math goes, if Texas, Illinois, New York, and California all voted for the same person, then those few states would run. But the great thing about the electoral college is what's good for the Northwest politics or economics is not good for Iowa and Kansas and Montana, and nor is it good for the Northeast or the Southeast. This country is so big, and I've been blessed to go all around it, and so have you. The economy in Texas is its own country in itself. You know, I think it's the 16th largest economy in the world. So the way they do business down there doesn't fit or mesh with the way New Yorkers do or Californians because of the laws and the way that they're structured. So the electoral college is so important because it gives each state its own say on how they want, not necessarily the country ran, but they're part of the country. You know, California politics is not good for anybody.
Yeah.
Even including themselves. But if you look at California and Illinois and New York, you look at those big blue states, they're broke. They're always broke.
Well, it's like downtown New York. They say, look at the price of a square foot of cement to get it done. Like if you're going to do work and build and be somebody downtown New York and trying to get some land and how much it costs. And it's like, why is that? Well, they've got so many laws that have been put into play by these people that don't do nothing with cement, that don't really build buildings, but they see it was lucrative. It's almost like the mob. The mob back in the day wanted like 2% of all the businesses, storefronts, all that, and it was a 2% protection. It's like, but when there was something getting built and the mob got involved just for the taxation of, we're going to offer you security, whatever, you know, they strong-armed. But that 2%, and if you thought of a building and the whole overall project and how much that created to be built. And
how many fingers?
That was a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on today. The mob has been taken out by the government, but now the government has replaced
I was about to say, D.C. is the mob. The pork and all these like the Obamacare package. Good for you. Look how many, if you read, that's why there's thousands of pages of that, because, and I believe it's in Nebraska, if somebody can help me out, the senators in Nebraska, I think it was the 2 senators in Nebraska that said, hey, this Obamacare doesn't work for my farmers.
Yeah.
So ex-nay Nebraskans or a sect of people that's in Nebraska that will get hurt by this, don't make them have to pay the penalties and the taxes on it, and then I'll vote yes for Obamacare. And then you look at all the other people that said, there's pork in there that has nothing to do with health care.
Yeah.
The guy wanted a 2-lane highway put in Maine, and he couldn't get federal money for it forever. And the one Maine senator, well, I'll vote for Obamacare. I'll vote yes if somehow we can find some money to get this damn. You look at the government is the mob.
Mm-hmm.
They
replaced it.
Then what drives me crazy is they want to, all these lefties want to tax people more. They want to take from the rich. Listen, I'm okay with that, I guess. That was that moral thing earlier. But until they can prove that they can use the money that we already give them wisely, I'm not in a position to give them any more money.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you just keep giving them money, they're always taking. And they can't.
This whole global climate thing that the Democrats like to push. That's just to keep us as another victims, something that's our fault.
Right.
It's
You
like,
should pay for it.
Yep, it's got to be a tax that you bad people, you breathing and driving car, and that's all they've given us is cars to drive, and we pushed for electronic or whatever's better, but nope, they've left it. Now it's our fault. Now we got to pay for that. It's a crisis. I was watching a video that came across, Scott, that showed all the propaganda, and these are like Time Life magazine. What are the other ones when you're sitting in a dental office? You got Popular Science, Time Life, all of those magazines from
Reader's Digest.
Reader's Digest,
Great one, I love
Time Life, Popular Science, all the ones that you think are 100% credible. You're at the dental office, you flip them open, they got these articles. I mean, and from the 70s, 60s, they've been pushing. In 8 years, I mean, they have ran articles. This video showed article from 72, 75, 70. It is going up in time from each of these magazines that were propagating. By late 70s, early 80s, we would be in this horrible condition with I think it was an ice age.
Yeah.
Or back then it was an ice age. And then that went away and it molded into them pitching by the end of the 80s it would be this, and
right.
and now we've reached every one of their doomsday dates. This video I watched went through them,
yep.
and it said wrong, and
here
we are.
Yep.
And they've shifted it from all the mainstream people you're supposed to believe from the 70s, from being this impending ice thing to now
they changed the
heating.
verbiage. Yeah, they changed the verbiage.
Well, they flipped the whole thing of either being we're all going to freeze to death to now, wait, we were wrong. We're going to heat up. And the reason we're going to heat up is because we're getting so cold. I mean, it's just all lies. And folks, you don't,
We've seen the enemy, and the enemy is us.
I believe in climate change. Where I live, it changes about 4 times a year drastically. It does change, does it not?
There is zero fact. Now, I hope that nobody wants to argue this, because I'll argue this till I'm blue in the face. There is no credible evidence that in the last million years...
No, they've only been keeping records for 150. So that's all we have.
There's my first point. And in that 150 years, that is a pimple on the ass of a donkey as far as how old
to try to get some kind of like where we're headed.
It's 2 degrees warmer today than it was today
last
75 years ago. And I thought, okay, you claim there's less ice in this region of the planet, but they're reporting that there's more ice in this other region.
That's what I'm saying.
You cannot convince me. Now, I know toxins and things in the ozones. I have to deal with the EPA because of what I do, and there's things you can do to minimize our footprint that we're leaving behind.
Carbon footprint.
Yeah, you always talk about what you want to leave behind when you go. I want to leave behind a better place.
Yes.
Better than I found it. But there's no credible evidence out there one way or the other. And here's how I know this, because there's 1,000 smarter people than me that say it is global warming and things are changing, and then there's 1,000 that are smarter than me that argue against them and say you just can't prove it. So
and WikiLeaks, things like that come out and said that the very 2 top people that put out, because not every scientist gets the data themselves. So in this scientific realm, who's sending up satellites and who's collecting things from the upper atmosphere?
Right.
Not everybody, but what happens is the government claims that their government scientists set something up, and then they give you this data.
Right.
Now, every one of our legit scientists on the earth get that data, and based off that data that they are giving, which could be obscured, that's what the WikiLeaks was saying, that these guys admitted to that you would come up to these results of what they wanted you to come up with. So therefore, that's where you get the backing of this. Thousands of scientists said that this does, because they were given this number from the government and then this other number. And then when you do 1 + 1 = 2, so they give you that, and they're like, the data does point, but they didn't collect the data. So that's very important to sometimes have to collect the data. The government gives these grants out to the people that are all around the country that decide to get into this global, but it has to come back in favor of. If it doesn't, you don't get the grant check.
Some of that's hush money too.
Yes. That's already come out. Like, if you're coming back, like, all of our data that we collected, and again, does not lead to global, anything. So where's our check? Oh, you guys don't get it. You're supposed to come back with the result of it in favor of. Only if the work comes in favor of it. And that's literally what we found out.
Well,
so
who's the guy that's sending planes or ships in outer space for the private sector?
Tesla guy.
So what I was
Elon Musk.
As soon as the private sector can start getting into space, right? You and I can debunk the government if they say at blah 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 address, say your front yard, 2 foot down is a the dirt's black or it's whatever it is. You and I can debunk that because you and I can walk out to your front yard, dig a hole, and look for it. We can't go to outer space, so we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know.
That's right.
But so it makes you an expert or privy to being an expert because you're the only one with the information, and then you can manipulate that any way you want. And that's why so many people thought when we landed on the moon that it was bogus, because it was hard to imagine being able to get to the moon. But it was easier to imagine that they did it in Hollywood and they just paid people off.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So, and who was in control of? Was that fact or not? Did that really happen? The government.
Yeah.
Well, then you had all these NASA employees. Well, man, how did 1,000 people?
And again, even the people that were Houston might not have been in on it. They really thought
that's
so.
Called
compartmentalization. These guys weren't on the moon either. They were just talking to people that were supposedly were.
3 or 4 astronauts supposedly were in outer space. The guy running NASA wasn't. All the support cast was in NASA. Yeah. Maybe that ship went up, flew over to Area 51.
They really said that they flew up there to the furthest we can go for that 8 or 9 days. That's where they were.
Right.
Possible. I mean, had we been in the moon since it was that first one a hoax? That's what people say, that we were in a rush to beat Russia, so we wanted to get this out there, and that they hired actors or hired I think it was Quebec, the Stanley Quebec or whatever. Yeah. He admitted to it. I don't know, but here's how interesting.
It's fun to debate it, but here's if I was to say I don't think we landed on the moon, here's one reason why. Because we're idiots, and this is why we're idiots. We spent, I think it was $385,000. I think that's the right number. In today's number, it'd be a stupid dollar amount, to create a anti-gravity pin, a pin that would work in outer space, right? What did the Russians do? They used a number 2 pencil.
Yes.
So
we engineered a pencil or a pen that would write upside down and 0-degree temperatures and all this stuff. And I was like, it finally works. After $8 billion, we got something.
So was the lie going to the moon so crazy that they had to invent a pen that worked in outer space to convince us that we did go to outer space?
There you go.
I don't know how I'm trying to illustrate this, but why did you need a pen that cost that much damn money? You couldn't write in pencil?
Yeah.
Or a marker?
They never thought that way. They knew that they needed to get money and do something. Yeah. They never thought, like, use what we already have that would work.
Here's the pen we used in outer space. Oh, yeah.
It works upside down. So does this one I have. You know, on a point of that, you know the whole Tesla Edison, they were opposite on current, like they both were supposedly inventors, but we really kind of know Edison was more the shill and just stole people's shit.
And the government backed him. And
he was a backed guy where Tesla wasn't.
They got to the newspapers and told the entire country and your local newspaper, this Tesla guy's an idiot.
Yes.
And which just gave him his credibility, went to shit.
That's it. That's all it took.
And he went and became a hermit. But he was way smarter than Edison.
So if you're in a stolen Tesla, would that be considered a Edison? I watched a interesting thing on I think it was Amazon or something, a documentary, and it was about the propaganda in our news, in our media. Like you said, it's down to 5, I think now. It used to be 6. It's 5. 5 owners own every TV channel. So even though you have a cable package, folks, of 500 channels, only 5 owners own all 500 of those channels. This propaganda thing went back to, this has been going on since the beginning of time, of course, with evil versus good, the lie of Satan or whatnot. But if you take it to TV or newspaper, and when it really started working it actually started with the Rothschilds in like the 1700s. They were known for really poor labor. Like, they owned lots of shit. So they labored lots of people, employed lots of people. And they were horrible. Like, they had lots of complaints. This is the 1700s, 1800s. So the Rothschild, the one, I can't remember his name, but just a Rothschild, he hired a person to put in the paper some opposite stories of his horrible work ethics.
Yep.
And it worked. They saw, holy shoot, this really works well.
Yep. So
that was the start of it, folks, and it worked really well. To, like, you started getting this, like, abuse of this put in the paper that we're great, we just had a family day.
Yeah.
And that would work. So they saw the power of that, and that was the end of it, really.
They could discredit, they could they discredited Tesla so bad I don't know which one of you guys just said it, but again, I try to stay away from these types of debates because I love all you guys and I will offend some of you. I'm sure we were on the moon. I'm positive of that. I feel positive about it. But somebody just said dirt couldn't stick to the moon in zero gravity. Nobody ever said the moon had zero gravity. It obviously had some gravity because...
Well, it's got some, like, they even say like 1/8 of the Earth or 1/16.
Yeah, you would bounce
I can't remember.
and you'd come off the ground a little bit. You were, I think, yeah, it was a ratio of something like that. But the moon is covered in dust. It's a dust. It's not much as a dirt.
Well, they get into this.
It's not zero gravity.
What is it? Shoot. They get into the interesting thing of how much the packs weigh back then, what they told us, and then the amount of man... Like, I don't know. Like, then the amount of weight that you had, you'd only be, 60 pounds, and then you're still carrying this weight. Like, it didn't work out. Like, they tried to act like, well, being on the moon, this weight that you're extra carrying, you should be fine because it's zero. But no, now you only... Your volume of... it's still the same compared to Earth. Like, if you couldn't move around on something on Earth, you shouldn't be able to move around in zero gravity either because...
Right. Well, again, it's not zero.
Not zero, but...
I don't know what...
If I pack you up with a bunch of stuff here and you're like, I can't move at all.
Right.
But then I take you to the moon and you're like all of a sudden jumping around like, okay, it's a lot better. It shouldn't be that way because that was too much weight for you here. It would be too much weight for you there. Why wouldn't it be? Because nothing changed other than...
Your muscles are still...
compared to... Yes. But yet they were hot, everything was great and dandy.
I don't know. Is anybody an astronaut out there?
Got any astronauts in the room?
Yeah, Todd.
We got Buzz Aldrin here.
It's not. It's 15% of the Earth's. That's a ratio.
Okay, I said 1/16. I said something like that, but
yeah.
Yes, there you go.
So that's a great topic. I mean, I could see.
And I get it. There's all these things about, when the rocket comes in and this thing lands perfectly, and the guy that did that, he couldn't do it on Earth ever. But then when he got there to the moon, he did it perfectly that day, and they were doing it here. Like, well, again, we didn't have this and that. When he got there, it was less this, and it's like, well, does that make it different?
Dane Blackburn. To be honest, Cooper wasn't. It wasn't suicide, and he wasn't murdered. What had went down was they issued a warrant for him, and he eluded the cops for a couple of years, and then they finally got him in Arizona, and he said he'll never be taken alive.
Yeah, that's what I remember. And towards the end, he got really...
Was he weird?
He got pissed off. He was disgruntled. I think he had, at this point, several attempts on him, his family, whatever.
He was shot at numerous times.
Yes.
The guy was probably upset, and he said, you'll never take me alive.
Never take me alive. I will not go in. And it was over...
He killed a deputy. Apparently, they say he shot a deputy in the head, killed the deputy, but then he was killed in the firefight.
Yeah.
So was he hushed? No, you know what? If they wanted to hush him, they would have hushed him long before. Hell, they had the warrant out for 2 years. He just kept evading them. So there's some interesting information on his death. You can look at it one way or the other. If they wanted him dead, they were going.
I'm just shocked. Like, we'll get to wrapping this up. We're at an hour 40 for our shows. It's awesome. Jeez. I have no concerns.
I don't either.
But put it this way. I have gone back and did 9/11, then I went to the Oklahoma City, and I just took the people here on the channel through the Oklahoma City thing about a month ago, brought them on to this to that, and they were all baffled. But the Oklahoma City to Ruby Ridge to Waco, and what I find disturbing is time after time for all of those, whether it's Ruby Ridge, Waco, Oklahoma City, we know that the FBI was involved, the 93 trade bombing. The guy they were using for that, he's like, I've done it several times. We were taking down terrorists all over the country, but this time they told me to sell them a real bomb, and I got skeptical. So I started recording the FBI agent, this handler guy, because they were trying to dip him to the wind. And the Oklahoma City, right away they released the footage of McVeigh like pulling up, and McVeigh getting out of the Ryder van. And the 93 New York one, the basement, same thing. It was a Ryder van. I mean, the government can't get better than this. But So,
It's the best deal they could get.
They finally admit we got FOIA requested paperwork in 2011 for Oklahoma that McVeigh worked for the CIA.
Yeah.
I mean, they never brought that out right away from the beginning that he worked for the CIA. They released this footage of McVeigh getting out of the Ryder, walking off scene, and then it's edited to show the truck blow up. Now, years later, after all the hype, you see McVeigh get out, and then instead of it blowing up, about 5 minutes goes by, and then you see another guy get out of the passenger. And then the guy goes back in, and then the guy gets back out, and then he walks off, and then the truck blows up. So we all know that was the FBI handler. Now, I would be shocked to know if that guy was the last one in the truck. Did he light the switch or something because he was the last one in? He went back twice, by the way. And if not, did he not have time to not put it out?
As far as I know, McVeigh was the only one found guilty of that bombing and put to death.
Yes.
Somebody
and
else
Nichols
is walking around.
Well, that's the whole thing, and that only leads you to believe, like, I thought they were in the business, and we know at that time in 95 that the FBI was heavily engaged in going undercover into these militias, finding people, and then, supposedly, finding the guy with the bad plot and stopping him. Yeah. Not giving the guy an idea, helping him the whole time, making sure it goes off.
A disgruntled, but yes, you're the patsy. We're going to help you perfect this plan.
That seems to be the case every time I look into something. That's what's scary. And it's like, well, we stop hundreds of these years, Andrews. One goes off a year or so. Well, big deal.
Yeah.
Not when you're heavily involved like that.
Right.
I mean, I can understand somebody going rogue on you, or like if you're working. We had this Muslim guy, Islamic terrorist that was going to be doing all this for us, and at the last minute he screwed us and did this.
Yeah.
Okay, don't trust them. That happens too. I get it, but
Correct.
Sheesh. So, it's just mind baffling, folks.
Current events bring back my first impression of this president. What James Comey?
What's in
James Comey. What is that piece of paper?
Oh, that's actual James Comey.
No.
So we can.
That is not James Comey, is it?
Yeah, I have my Twitter feed in, so it's going through my Twitter feed.
Oh, I was gonna say, what the hell's
He's not in the room, folks, but this is. I'll send it over to the main screen here. Current events bring back my first impressions. So he's saying, still, the encounter left me shaken.
Oh.
I had never seen anything like it in the Oval Office. I find myself thrust into the Trump orbit. I once again was having flashbacks to my early career as a prosecutor against the mob. They keep bringing up this mob mentality with Trump, I mean, Comey, go away, dude. You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah. Please use that right early and often.
Please,
I love some of these comments.
The Boston boys work for the CIA too. NASA tells you to look up and down when they're going after below.
If you don't want the truth, spin the truth.
Look at the suit in the museum, the boot print.
We have anti-gravity tech. Why would you think we don't have the opposite for an atmosphere that lacks gravity?
Again, and this is where I debate, it's like we probably do have technology or hidden elements on the periodic table that we don't know about. That's according even to the guy from the 80s, that guy that got screwed with the government up in Vegas. He worked at Area 51, then he became a whistleblower. He talks about this element 116 that we don't even have. But he says, no, we got it. And the government's been using it. So it's a byproduct of this and blah, blah, blah. And it creates their anti-gravity technology that we see. These spaceships that hover and float and can do 90-degree turns. That this is what they're flying this stuff off of. I could agree. But again, they don't let us know that. So it's not in our technical frame of reference.
Yeah.
We don't even know about it. So it's hard to.
Blaze is trying to say NASA is a space exploration into oil and gas. Okay. NASA, I mean, if you really think about it, yes. The whole reason to explore space is, the whole definition of exploring is to go find
they're talking about finding water and all that stuff. Get out of the space above, they search for oil below.
Wow. Melody says my ex-mother-in-law sued the government over Waco. Wow.
And they held off until after she died before they quietly found the government guilty of whatever in Waco. Yeah, no, I mean, I was a small child. Face puts Bob Lazar. Yes, Bob Lazar. That's the guy's name I was talking about earlier. Melody here, again, I'll put it back up. Her mother-in-law, Waco. I took that to be this crazy conspiracy guy or a religious freak guy, which I guess he kind of was. He thought he was Jesus again walking. But again, there's these FBI people that infiltrate, or for Ruby Ridge, they actually had a FBI guy getting close with him, kept pitching, "Come on, man, sell me a gun," and the guy finally, after relentless of this other guy wanting to get a gun, he sold him a gun that they sawed off together that day, and the one guy confessed that he actually started it and went a half inch further back, because if you saw it off too far, it's considered
illegal.
Yeah, and that's what they kind of had him on to even infiltrate. But then they ended up like blowing the kid's head off. Like one of the snipers out in the woods shot the kid in front of the mother. I mean, if you look into the Waco story again, it's this infiltration. It's almost a lie to get something to happen. That in all of these cases back then were about gun control, and we need to get the guns out. Is propaganda.
They had no right. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there. I wasn't the prosecutor.
Yeah.
I'm not privy to all.
Well, the one thing is the same guy's name comes up. It's like the same guy that did Waco, Oklahoma, Ruby Ridge. And then this is the one that
he was the G-man.
Yep, and that was the one that McVeigh talked about, was the colonel, he called him. Because if you listen to Terry Nichols, he talks about, well, 2 weeks before, this whole thing went down, and I was helping McVeigh build this bomb, and Nichols took it to be that they had the government sanction to do this. Like, I got the right to go around and get a team together, McVeigh kept telling Nichols. He's like, oh, okay, so the colonel told me this. Okay, this is a black ops. And
Terry Nichols is spending life in prison. It's right here in Indiana, I believe.
Yeah, he's
French
in
Lick area.
Mm-hmm. He's in
southern Indiana, and
he's been gagged. He's talked about his last statement that they let him, because they got a gag order on him where he can't talk, no publicity. Yeah. But he said that there's a lot to the story that the public doesn't know with government involvement that you wouldn't believe.
They're never gonna know. Yep.
So,
which is ironic, because you would think that they would have found him dead in his cell instead of allowing him to live.
Yeah.
What if a guy like Trump pardons him just to hear his side of the story? It's plausible. I mean, it could happen. Trump could pardon him. I mean, it wouldn't be a good move. As far as I know, Nichols is kind of nuts, but I would like to sit down and talk to that guy for an hour.
Yeah, how do we know? It's like, again, this was I watched that one documentary where the whole family of McVeigh said all his letters coming home were quite the opposite. That he said, I got picked up when I went to Green Beret school. I got picked up for black ops, and I'm going to do this instead. And this is way bigger. But the media, when it first came out, was like this disgruntled veteran that hated the military and anti-government after the Gulf War because he became so disgruntled.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. While he was in the Gulf War, he got to hold a gun next to General Schwarzkopf on the security detail, and then he got picked up for Green Beret school.
The power of discrediting people.
That's all it took. The family was racing to talk to the media, and then nobody wanted to, like, oh, you're the family of McVeigh? We don't want to talk to you. And they let this story come out.
Narrative.
Yeah.
They built their own narrative, hook, line, sinker.
It's like the guy for 9/11 in the Harley shirt that comes out. It's like, I saw the whole thing start to finish. Listen to me.
Yeah.
This came in, blew that up, and the buildings fell mostly due to structural failure and gas fire. It's like, whoa, he knew the whole narrative 2 minutes after it happened.
Yeah. Obama did it, or Bin Laden was behind it, and look at these IDs we found on the ground. People were disintegrated into ashes.
Where's the engines, though? The Platinum Rolls-Royce engines. Well, they melted.
Just completely melted.
But here's a terrorist passport.
His ID and everything, just sitting right here on Fifth Avenue, like nothing ever happened. It's like, and they found like 7 or 8 IDs that day.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and they were all found by FBI or...
Weird. Joe Blow didn't find it. Joe Blow was watching bodies splatter on the ground and things disintegrate.
It's because the FBI guy kind of reaches in his back pocket, lets it hit the ground, steps on it to get a little dirty. Oh, my, look what I fucking uncovered here.
It was Bin Laden this whole time. And what was it? The news anchor from NBC or whatever, within 27 minutes was already setting the narrative.
Yeah, that
Bin Laden.
That was a Harley shirt, the Harley T-shirt guy. They had that on him to make him feel like I got
wholesome American.
I can get in with this guy. Harley, contributor for Fox News.
I have to believe him.
He saw the whole thing, start to finish.
I was there. Dan Rather.
I saw the whole thing, start to finish.
Who was the Canadian anchor that always said I was there, and they start making memes? There he is standing in the water of the hurricane.
Brian Williams.
Brian, believe me, I was there. Then there he is in Vietnam with his microphone hanging out of a helicopter.
I was here.
Yeah,
oh man, he's back. He's back now. By the way, they gave him like, all right,
NBC did or CBS, one of them did.
David Koresh was right about a lot of things about the future of the NSA, the USA. No, you're right. I'm not. I'm not judging. I only seen the documentaries, and I do not think David Koresh was 100% like this evil bad guy that they portrayed him to be by any means.
The only law that I think that he probably was guilty of was probably having sex with underage girls.
Yes, I agree.
And if he was married, but as far as I know, he was married because he was an ordained minister. He said he was a man of God.
Yeah.
He could marry 4 or 5 women. That's his choice, and that's their choice.
Well, you know what he always did too, because I just watched a documentary on this probably a couple weeks ago. I watched a really new, detailed one. It actually went back to a lot of the people that were there that lived, and they were going in this documentary. They were all going back there and kind of crying by the entrance of this place. But anyway, he'd always get the permissions of the parents. He never did the touching, and in that law, in that state.
You needed a written permission slip?
Yep, and he got it. So it was almost like, okay. It's still, I don't agree, like, okay, that makes it better, and he's a great guy. No, it just means he manipulated the parents, right? I mean.
The old question, and I know there's some biblical people that follow. I can obviously see that with multiple Bible verses, but if you... Let me ask it in its simplest form. If you knew that Jesus Christ was real and there was a heaven, if you knew without a doubt, would you sin tomorrow morning or at all ever again?
Good question.
I mean, that's such a matter of fact question. If you knew for a fact heaven was real, right? So David Koresh, where I was going with this is how do I know that he wasn't Jesus? I don't know that. I never met the guy. I didn't, have a heartfelt conversation. I believe that if Jesus was in front of me, that my heart would let me know that it was really him. But who am I to say that he wasn't a man of God? And I mean, maybe I think he was crazy. Other people think he was crazy. Just because you don't believe in somebody's way of life doesn't make them wrong. I don't condone the sexual favors with children, obviously. But if that's what he was found guilty of, well then, hang the son of a bitch, because that's something I can't go for.
Me neither.
But if he wasn't doing that and he was just having his own little compound and raising his own little religious cult, if he wasn't breaking laws and terrorizing the locals, why did they not just leave his ass alone?
Yeah, and I think there was some issue because early on, all the people, it wasn't that. As it got later and he got more kind of into his own thing and his own. So that there was like a cult because there's always this leader. And in the beginning, he didn't say all that stuff. Only over time, as more got there, he kept going better and better at it. The next thing you know, he's like, I am this. Yeah. And that's typically the cultish thing. Like,
Jones down
choose a cult.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't have this leader that self-prescribed himself as our, God, eventually.
You remember the story about Jonestown?
He the Kool-Aid.
He convinced everybody to kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They killed themselves willingly.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying the guy's a saint and shouldn't have been. He's already stood in front of God.
There was one that's a real crazy old man that was getting people to. They all drank the Kool-Aid. Heaven's Gate. Where the thing was going to be flown by the earth, and he's like, we're going to be able to get on that, but we have to drink this stuff here,
and spiritually,
and it will spiritually be taken away. Heaven's Gate, can't remember that guy's name.
That's suicide. Suicide's not illegal, and here's why: because they can't charge you. You're dead.
Yeah.
So that he didn't kill them. Again, I'm not saying I condone any of it, but by God, it's a free world and it's your life. You have the right to do what you want.
Yeah, but they were making the kids drink it then. There's a lot of...
That I have a problem with.
And people were complaining they weren't drinking enough, so their stomachs are hurting. And it's like, drink more. Ah, man, horrible. Because I think there's some audio that came out of that. They had recorded it or something. Ugh, man.
I understand, Dane. I know if Jesus was standing in front of me, believe me, my faith tells me I would know it's him. And I haven't seen him yet.
I agree.
Man, you got all kinds of things that pop in here, don't you?
Oh.
Yeah, I would sin because Jesus is supposed to forgive me when I asked him, right?
And dog goes back to his own
Now,
body.
you can't go out willingly sinning and expect... I call that Catholicism. You know, we're all going to sin naturally, but if that's a funny one. Yeah, I would sin.
Yes, because then when I ask him, he's supposed to forgive me, right?
That doesn't justify sinning.
Yeah, when you ask for forgiveness, you got to really be asking, not just going through the motion.
Remember that. He's judge, jury, and executioner. He'll know whether, this little game of,
I'm sorry.
I
It's like, I know you're really not sorry. There you go.
You're damned. Oh, man. I got a call today.
Yeah, no, we'll wrap this up. You guys, we appreciate it again. Thanks for joining in. We're at the 2-hour mark, so this will...
Whoa. You're actually wrong there, Scott. Suicide is against the law, and it's because people are owned by the government, and you're harming them. Harming...
the government's property.
Well, it's not against the law.
You're actually wrong there, Scott. Suicide is against the law, and it's because people are owned by the government, and you're harming the government's property. He's probably just making a kind of a wise mark and joking.
Well,
but
then put LOL behind it, because I thought you...
Well, maybe. I don't know. He's probably acting like the government gets mad because once you off yourself, they can no longer collect on you. But, I mean, I don't know what other point this would be. This is just...
Yeah, because there's no way it could be against the law. They cannot charge you if you're dead.
Yeah.
It would be, well, there are lots of pointless laws, though, so, it's illegal to wash your goat on Sunday.
Heaven's Gate call. I mean, suicide is, I thought, a straight ticket to hell. Isn't it a sin? You're not supposed to off yourself?
No, it is a sin. Suicide is a sin, but I'm not sure it's against the law. I don't know how you could...
Yeah. I mean, the government made it against the law. People keep doing it. They haven't got to charge anybody yet.
Yeah. See, it's God's law. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I get that.
But you're not going to sue. You cannot throw.
And hey, he didn't say. Well, he did bring the government into it, so that made me instantly go to like a law that's on the street. But yeah, you're not. I mean, it's God's law. Don't kill yourself. As far as the government having it, like it's against the law to kill yourself. If you do it, we're going to arrest you. Well, again, they haven't got anybody yet on that law because everyone that's done it has been successful, and they can't charge anybody.
I'm not saying you're going to hell if you kill yourself. I don't know. I know there's people, there's congregations out there that think one way or another, but you know what? That's between that person and God. I'm not going to play God, and I'm not going to judge. Look at those people that jumped out of the Twin Towers because, that's suicide. They killed themselves. You really think God's going to just not take mercy on them?
They sat there, they burned to death. Yeah. Either way, it's like, if I jump, I'm committing suicide. If I don't, I'm going to burn to death.
And it's going to be painful.
And I don't know if that's kind of considered suicide too, because you're just standing there and you're going to burn to death. It's premeditated that the fire is coming. Right. You can't get through it.
But then you're going to have people say, well, God will look past it. Well, then don't ever play God. Just I'm not here to say suicide's, it's in my opinion, it's wrong. The Bible says it's wrong.
Again, yeah, that's...
I'm not God, though. Because if I was...
That's right. Red flag laws, suicide ban. People are agreeing, Dane and Blackburn, exactly, Scott.
What's that?
It is no sin to call it out. Jesus did it repeatedly. Did what? Did you sin on purpose or accidentally without realizing it? A birth certificate is pretty much giving you debt. Okay. All right, we'll call this one out. We're awesome to have Scott in studio. I think with the winter coming, it'll probably be a little more frequent. We'll see.
So.
Hopefully.
I will be on more.
No, I don't mean to bring winter in.
I've missed this. Yeah, let's not be using that swear word. It's good to be back. And I'd say it's good to see y'all, but it was good to read your messages. It's just good to be back.
All right, and we'll see you guys here on the next Patriot Hour. Look for this to be replayed. I recorded our session here for the last 2 hours, and I'm going to do this tonight as a premiere, so there'll be another chat available since we're banned live on the Patriot Hour right now, and we're on the Patriot Hour 2.0. Again, if you're new here, subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss any of our live feeds and any of the hearings that are going on. We kind of try to follow. Other than that, this will be on the Patriot Hour as a premiere for later on this evening for you to enjoy and have more chatting and Patriot chats. So God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you back here later this evening.
Protect those rights.
Never give them up.